Shem, we're going to start. I think what we should do today is continue with the paragraph of Shema, chapter 6, verse 4. We did the first verse of Shema on Monday during our Parsha class. So I'd like to study the Rashi for Shema, so at least everybody is aware of the Rashi on the prayer or the passage, which is one of the most essential. So we have Elon who will volunteer to read for us. We're in chapter 6, verse 5. This should be hello, Eitan. This should be a paragraph that everybody's familiar with. This is called the Shema. It says, V'ahavta, that's Hashem Elokecha b'chol v'avcha b'chol nafshecha b'chol moedecha. You shall love Hashem your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. What does that mean, Elon? Let's look at that. You want to read the Rashi, Elon? Ve'ahavta, you shall love. How can we ask? How can there be a commandment to love? So how could God be commanding us to love? So what does that mean? Do His words out of love. Perform His commandments. Perform His commandments out of love, meaning to say, not just feeling love, but love to do the mitzvos. Go on. You can't compare somebody who does a commandment out of love versus somebody who does it out of fear. Someone who does it because they want to do it versus someone who does it because it's a responsibility. Ha'oseh eitzel. So one who does it out of fear or out of a burden, when his master leaves, he leaves it up behind and goes off on his own. So the best way to serve God is out of love and not out of fear. Yeah, we have to fear God, but we should do the commandments out of love. That's what Rashi is saying. That's an excellent question. You see right there those volumes are the Sefer Chinuch. You see that? Can you bring it's like brown and white. Go straight, walk straight ahead. Yeah. No, to the left. One shelf over, one column over. Yeah, right there. Yeah, bring all of them. Okay, that's good. It's not number one. Yeah, we'll see what the Sefer Chinuch, if he counts this as a mitzvah. And let's see what he says. Okay, thank you. No, it's probably in. He does, but he goes, we order the mitzvahs. Yeah, so it's right here. Okay. Vaetchanan. Here we go. It says mitzvah kriya Shema. Okay, there's the mitzvah of Shema. Mitzvah ahavat Hashem. Okay, this is the commandment. Commandment 118 is the commandment of loving God. This is different than what Rashi says. The Sefer Chinuch has as the commandment, because Elon asked if it was a mitzvah to love doing the commandments, which is what Rashi said. So the Sefer Chinuch says we're commanded to love God. It says, no, it's not a commandment to love doing the commandments. It's a commandment to love God. And it says, you shall love Hashem your God. And what is the substance of the mitzvah? That we should consider and reflect on His commandments and His works until we attain a concept of Him according to our ability. And then we feel joy in perceiving Him with delight. Basically, to think about God until we come to a place of love. That's the commandment Sefer Chinuch.
So the mitzvah itself is the path of trying to get to the point of reflection.
Oh, that's a good question. No, the mitzvah is actually loving Him. But the way you get there is by studying about Him. Well, he says a little bit more. He says, while it is stated, and you shall love, I don't know how a man is supposed to love God. So the Torah says, the Torah says, keep these words on your heart. As a result of this, you'll recognize the one who spoke and the world came into existence. In other words, with reflection, understanding in the Torah, the love of God settles in the heart. And the sages say that love should force a man to arouse people about love for him. The sages say that you want to be like an evangelical, like we found with Abraham, that you go around and tell people to love God. It's a very interesting thing. He takes a totally different approach than Rashi. Who says we don't? Oh my God. Please, no. Okay. Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay. 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 With all your heart. What does that mean? It means Bishnei Yitzarecha, with your two drives. You have to serve God. What does it mean with all your heart? You have two Yetzers. You have the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. To even serve God with your Yetzer Hara, you know what the Yetzer Hara is, Eitan? Eli, you know what that is? It's like you. So what would be an example of serving God with your Yetzer Hara? What? No.
He's like the guy who's like Yetzer Hara that like makes him like want to kill people, right?
Oh.
So because he wants to kill people and he has to hide him, he only comes back.
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah. Or if you have if you have a taiva for to eat a lot, so you make a big meal for Shabbos. So alternatively, b'chol levavcha, shelo yiyeh libcha chaluk al makom, that your heart should not be divided about God. What does that mean? You shouldn't question God's ways. You shouldn't question God's ways. B'chol nafshecha, afilu hu notel es nafshecha, even if he takes your soul. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Okay. Even if he takes your soul, I mean to say, give up your soul to serve Hashem. So what does this mean? According to the Netziv, it means a person must feel love of God, even if his life is being taken for God's name. With all your possessions. There's some people whose money is more precious to them than his body. With all your money. You have to love Hashem with all your possessions, with all your money. No matter what, you use your money to serve Hashem. Alternatively, what does it mean? B'chol modecha? B'chol midah midah shemoded lecha. Each and every measure that he measures out for you, both the measurement for good and the measurement for punishment. So too David says, Kos Yeshua Sasa, I will raise up a cup of salvation. Okay. Yes.
Is it a big part of Judaism?
Well, the Shema is the command in the Torah. It says we have to recite it every morning and every night. So the very first commandment that a person ever has is to recite the Shema, meaning to say, when the second you become bar mitzvah, it's become bar mitzvah at night. So the first commandment you have is to recite Shema. The first words of the Talmud are the commandment, is the discussion from when do we start reciting Shema. So the Shema is the essential aspect of our faith. It's the essential part of our prayers. Well, except that Shema is not a prayer. Shema is not a prayer. It's a declaration of our faith. But it's not a prayer. What?
It's like
We recite it in our prayers, but it's not a prayer. Okay. These words which I'm commanding you today shall be on our heart. What does that mean? Rashi says, you read it, Elon, please. Verse 6. The Rashi. What does it mean to love? That means that you're supposed to put these words on your heart, because as a result of this, and this is something we mentioned in the Sefer Chinuch, that when you study these words of the Torah, you're going to recognize God, and then you'll come to a love of God. So this is Rashi. What Sefer Chinuch said is also reflected in this Rashi, even though it's not in the first Rashi. Okay, go on the next one. Ratzinu krata. So what does this mean? It says that the words that I command you today should not be like the Yotagma Yeshana. The Yotagma is an old edict, She'ena Dam Sofna, which you don't attach importance to, but rather the words of the Torah should be for us like new. Like it should be each time we study Torah, it should be like something new that everybody runs to it. The Yotagma, Mitzvah Samel Chabab. This is a commandment that comes of the king, which comes in writing. Go on. Vishinantam Vivanecha. Well, let's read the pasuk first. Kobi grab a chomesh. Vishinantam Vivanecha v'dibar tabam. You shall teach your children and speak to them. V'shivtecha v'veisecha, when you lie down in your house. V'lachtecha v'derach v'shachcha v'kumecha. You lie down in your house. You walk on your journey, and when you lie down and you get up. So let's see what the Rashi says. Vishinantam. This is an expression of sharpness, of sharpness. Shihu mechudadim beficha. That the word should be sharp in your mouth. Tarich. And Morlo. Right, these words need to be sharp in your mouth. So if somebody asks you a question, you should not hesitate, but you should say to him immediately. You should teach it to your children. What does that mean, Elon? This refers to your students. Matzinu, That students are, we find in many places that the students are called children. As it states, and Nevi'im, the sons of the prophets that are Beit El, and also by Chizkiyahu, so they're called children. The students are called your children. Okay, and now it says Kishem Shatamidim Kriyim Banim. Just like the students are called children, Kacharav Karoyav. The teacher is called the father. The Rebbe is called the father. And it says Avi Avi Rechav Yisrael. That's what Elisha says to Eliyahu. Beautiful. Okay, read the next Rashi. V'dibar tabami shall speak of them. Ikor diborcha. Ikar. Dibar tabam means you should make the words of the Torah the main aspect of your words, and all other words secondary. Go on. V'shachpecha. B'chatzi hayom. Uvekumecha. You might think that even if you lay down in the middle of the day, so if you lay down in the middle of the day, when you lie down, before you take a nap in the middle of the day, you should say Shema. Says the verse, Kumecha, when you rise. I might even think if you get up at midnight, you should say the Shema. So the Torah tells us when do you say Shema? At the time of lying down, at the time of rising. Time of lying down is nightfall. So before you go to sleep at night, everybody should recite the first paragraph of the Shema minimally when they lie down in their beds, right? That's the first Rashi in the Talmud. And also when you wake up in the morning, ideally at sunrise, you recite the first paragraph of Shema. When you wake up at sunrise, you should recite the first paragraph of Shema. And now we have the mitzvah of tefillin. Go on. Ukeshartam li'ot ayadecha. You shall tie them as a knot on your hand. And they shall be a totafot between your eyes. This is the mitzvah of tefillin. Go on. Shebezroa. This refers to the tefillin on the arm. Go on. V'hayu v'totafot beinecha. This refers to tefillin of the head. Go on. And because of the number of their passages, meaning to say each of the tefillin contains 4 passages. The passage of the Shema, the Haya, and the 2 from Exodus. And they have to write, the tefillin need to be written in order in which they appear in the Torah. The way in which they appear on the parchment is a matter of dispute between Rashi and Tosafos. And the word Totafos comes from the Caspi language meaning 2, and the African language meaning 2. And then the last verse of the Shema says, and you shall write them on the mezuzot of your doorposts and your house and your gate. Okay, let's see what Rashi says there. Mezuzot ktiv means say that it's written with only one vav, but later on in the second paragraph of Shema, it says it with 2 vavs. Mizu mem zayin vav taf. So later on it says it with 2 vavs. So there it's written with 2. So why the difference? Shein sarich, that you only need 1 mezuzah on the entrance on each door. You don't need 2 or 3. That's what it's telling us. So this is the mitzvah of, we have in this paragraph the mitzvah of Torah study, the mitzvah of loving God, the mitzvah of tefillin, and the mitzvah of mezuzah. All in this one, and also the mitzvah of giving up your life. All of this in this one paragraph, and these are the most essential of all the mitzvahs. Yes, Elon. Kissing the mezuzah is not a mitzvah, but it does appear in the Talmud in the story. It doesn't appear that he kissed it, but there was a man named Unkelis, when they went to convert him. We had this in attracted Avodah Zarah. Remember it? So they went to convert him. He converted to the Jewish people. And when his uncle Titus went to bring him back, he convinced the first group of soldiers. So the second group, so Titus to convert with him. So then Titus said a second group. And they also, he said something, Titus said, don't speak to him, but he said like an elliptical phrase, and they followed him. And then the third group he said, don't say a word. So he didn't say a word, but on the way out, he looked at the mezuzah, and they said, what are you looking at? And he said, oh, well, your God, your general fights from the back, but our God protects us on the outside. And so that's how we have the custom of kissing the mezuzah. It's based upon that source in the Talmud.
Rabbi,
Okay. Yes, Rabbi Yosef has a question.
Akon, I don't speak Katfi or Afriki. I don't even know what I think Afriki is Africanos, but there's a famous offensive during the Vietnam War called the Tet Offensive, and that's somebody told me that's so it's basically the end of the rainy season. So it's just a concept from Vietnamese. So don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it comes from here, but that's an interesting connection. Okay. All right. So then it says, hold on. Verse 10, Vayaki Yaviacha Hashem Lokecha El Aretz Asher Nishbala V'Secha Avram Yitzchak Yaakov V'Seis Lecha Arim Gedolos Tovos Asher Lo Banisa. And then, hold on one second. Let me just stop here.